Now it should be correct. But leave it open, please, so we can see. Yeah, this camera is. This is fine.
Yeah, just leave it like that. Just so we can see.
No. Cannot read the comments anyway. Albert would be reading for us. No. Yeah, that's fine.
They're saying, damn it, Jim, I'm a designer, not a streamer.
Rock and stone to the rock and stone.
Are we streaming right now, or?
Rock and stone, brother.
Good now. Yeah, maybe we should do that.
So now we're back.
Yeah, and it looks correct.
And it looks correct, and it's working. So let's play the game and hear your questions and try to answer them. Thanks a lot for your patience. This was our first time. It's not obvious enough. So we'll try to get better at streaming.
Operation Fluffy Arm.
So our first mission has a 3. Okay, let's do it.
This'll be the end of us.
Shut up! I'm trying to say. Rock and stone to the bone.
Nice progress.
So I was thinking I would like to know the statistics for how many rock and stones have been performed during the game's lifetime. Should add that to the next match.
Sorry about this.
Let there be
Scanners indicate particularly rich veins of morkite and gold further down. Bring it back, boys.
So Albert, let us know if they have any questions. If they don't, we have many things we would like to talk about, so we can just...
Ollie is on the way.
Wild play.
Yes.
Exactly, they say that the game sound is too loud, so maybe we can
The
lower
game sound is
the
too loud. Okay, that's good to know. But there are two ways we can do this. I'm gonna lower the master volume. There you go. I hope this is better.
Oh, I could need a good rest.
And apparently Jonas is echoing, I don't know how to solve that.
Jonas is echoing. That could be my microphone getting the sound, so I'm gonna move a bit away from him.
I'll try to talk only to the side.
Do you have the voice chat active?
No. Oh yes, I do.
Okay.
Alright, is it better? Yeah. It's off now.
Okay, we're solving so many issues. At some point it will even work.
Okay, it's better now.
It's better now.
Good.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Okay, so Fran, I know that you've been doing a lot of the rooms for the cave generation. Maybe you can talk a bit about that. I know that you there was quite a big change in the update that was released this week.
Yes. So, I mean, a big change. We're in a situation in which, because of the way we use the different shapes to create levels, whenever we add a few more shapes, that creates a lot of variation, many possible combinations. So, what we did in the last update is that we created new shapes. So now you will encounter completely different caves with random variations, because whenever we create a cave shape or structure, whatever you want to call it, we add random possibilities and variations for things that could happen in that cave. But apart from that, we developed, what actually was Jonas, is here, a few systems to create more variety out of the existent caves. It's a bit abstract to explain what we're doing. We're basically mirroring also the shapes that we already had in the system.
Yeah, so we basically just take a whole part of a cave, you'd say, just mirror it around the center, which just makes it feel a bit different. Instead of a path going down to the left, it can go down to the, or up to the right, or the other way around. So just add some slight variation.
Our plans are to keep adding shapes for until we release the game. So we're confident by the time we release, we'll have enough. So players will need hundreds of hours until they start seeing the patterns of the generation. Mostly because we are only talking about the overall shape of the cave, the items that you find in the cave, the hazards, of course the enemies, but many other things, those are completely random, so they will never look the same.
Yeah, in many cases the stuff also overlaps, so that makes it quite different. So,
but we're getting there. I think in the last 2 years, it took us a while to understand what was necessary for us to create levels that feel always different and that are completely random, and it feels that you are discovering a new place with new challenges and so on. And after everything we've learned, I think now we know how to add content to achieve the complete randomness that was always the goal of the game.
Gelatin Guy asks, do you plan to make tiny floating rocks not have collision, or remove it automatically?
That one is tricky. I think it's more a technical than a design question, because of course we would love them to not do that, but it must be very difficult.
yeah, it's not trivial to detect. It's not really my area, so all I can say is that if it was easy, we'd have done it already. So
our terrain magician says that it's very difficult. So sometimes they're annoying, but I don't know. We have to find all the solutions to avoid getting stuck there. But it's a bit the nature of the game. At some point we embrace the fact that of course the experience cannot be as smooth as games in which the levels are designed and carefully every item is placed there. Here everything can be broken, the levels are completely random, so they come with problems, but they are also the reason they are charming and interesting is because they are always different, so and you can be destroyed.
Mass Requiem asks, are you going to be adding more support weaponry to each class, like the grappling gun or another option?
So for the grappling gun, we are talking about the tool, no? I mean,
yeah.
I think you mean. Yes, so when we were talking about getting alternative weapons, and we did the update with all the alternative weapons, in the beginning we thought about adding alternative tools, but then we discovered that the tools are what make the character the character. You could change the weapons of the scout as we did, and it still feels like the scout. Also because of course there were some design goals there with the kind of weapons that we were giving to him. But if you remove the grappling hook, then it will feel completely different. We feel that would be a different character. So we didn't go that road intentionally.
Troner13 asks, are there any new minerals planned for the future?
So more crafting minerals. I guess we would do that if it made sense, no? Maybe with new regions or so on. 2 minerals per biome seems a good number, because we would like people to, after a few hours of game, remember and be able to make decisions knowing which minerals can be found in every region of the planet. So maybe if we add more, that could be something to do. Or if we need them for different not for the current systems, but for something else. Maybe we could consider other materials.
Maybe we could say that we plan to add more stuff that you can find in the cave.
That
right? So if it's a mineral or something else, that's definitely more stuff to find, to bring home.
Yeah, we want everyone to be more surprising and we want the player to always be wondering what's gonna be in the next cave, and for that we need more things that can be found in the cave. But we have a few ideas. Maybe diving into the grabber. Diving into the skin system. could be an option.
We're getting some questions about the error cube. Barbarossa asks if they were supposed to be in the game or if it was an early development error that you decided to leave in the game. And some other people are asking what the usage for them will be in the future.
I don't really know. I know I will keep them probably because they look important, but I have no clue. What do you think, Jonas?
I mean, they were added on purpose, I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure, yes.
To add some mystery, but maybe they'll have some use one day. I would keep collecting them.
Yeah, if you find one, you should collect them.
Dwarf Furious asks, when will we be getting dwarfier beards with braids and whatnot?
Soon, very soon. I think that's planned for one of the following updates. I'm not gonna say immediately the next one, but soon, because the previous one we added headgear. I know that they're cooking some armor sets, like full armor sets, and the art director was mentioning the other day that it's time to go back to beards, and he's planning to make them very dwarfy. So yeah, very soon.
Wow.
Maybe we should have played Hazard 2. Okay, we're gonna quickly restart this and play Hazard 2. Okay, now let's see the failed mission. Screen. Yes. That's Shellback.
Phil the Burnsy is asking, why did you make the loot bugs so damn cute sounding?
Yeah.
To make you feel bad for killing them, of course.
Why are you killing them? Just for money, that's awful.
When you don't stick to the plan,
You shouldn't ask why they're cute, you should ask why are they killing them anyway. We're not guilty.
Witch's Fall is wondering if there are any plans to add female avatars eventually. Saw it in the roadmap back in December and was curious if it's still an idea you'd like to do.
It's one of the many ideas that we discuss. The problem is I think we are such a small team that every small thing can mean a lot, and we're still not sure what that would mean, and yeah, we still don't know. Many of us in the team, of course, we would like to see female dwarfs in the game, but we still don't know, so there's really not much we can say about that this time.
Yeah, we have not figured out how, if we would do it, so, but we want to do it properly, if we do it.
Botter Gaming Twitch is asking if there are any plans to make some of the cave generation based on hazard level.
That was initially the plan. In the end, we decided to go for this hybrid difficulty of both showing the hazard level and the complexity of the cave. The reason is because hazard level has to do exclusively with combat, and the complexity with the complexity of the caves. So by keeping them separated, we allow for people who enjoy more the exploration and the navigation rather than the combat to still improve in the game and play very difficult levels with crazy caves and so on, but without having to fight so much, because maybe they don't feel so comfortable. So I think we will keep them separated, unless, I don't know, we find a very good reason to not to do so.
Yeah. But we could add more complex caves.
That yes. That's a different story. We can always go for more complexity. We could make levels that are purely vertical. That's something we have discussed many times and is a perfectly good option. So that could happen, but not linked to enemies.
Inquisitor Hayes asks if you've considered adding more types of special monsters similar to Left 4 Dead games, as they were very innovative in creating monsters that force players to stick together and punish going solo. If so, what are your ideas? Okay,
so the thing we're right now, the production is mostly focused on creating more enemies of all types. So I'm gonna talk a little bit of the enemies we have in the pipeline, and some of them I think they would fit that description that you're mentioning from Left 4 Dead. So first of all, the Shellback was our first biome limited enemy, in the sense that you cannot find it all over the game. Our intention is to do that for most planetary regions, because we think that having enemies that only appear in a region or two gives a lot more identity to that region. So we will keep working on that, and we want all of those to have a lot of personality. You know, the first example was a ball that rolls around, and we find it very different from everything we had made in the game. Right now, if you check Twitter, we just shared our next enemy. There's gonna be region exclusive, which is the shark. That is the working title. It's like a land shark, and that will appear in some blasted corridors. So we will keep doing that. But then on top of that, we want to have elite or veteran enemies. We already did that for the warrior, the Glyphid warrior, but we want to expand on that and find a nice way of creating elite versions of the enemies that still preserve the essence of what makes the enemy what it is, but with some extra behaviors that would turn it into elite, so to make it more dangerous. And finally, we are very happy with the result of what happened with Betsy, because it's a more boss feeling, an enemy that doesn't have to come in a wave for it to be dangerous. It's almost as dangerous as a full wave, and that forces the team to cooperate and play together. And we definitely have plans to expand on that. Because that makes the game more unique, and it's true that it reinforces cooperation. And speaking of that, the last thing about enemies, sorry, is that we were not happy at all with the state of the Dreadnought, because the Dreadnought is right now a very important enemy. Is the objective of one of the missions of elimination. So we are redesigning it pretty much. We are doing a lot of things to it. First of all, it's just simple tweaks to make it more aggressive, but it will also do some cool stuff. So one of the common exploits to fight the Dreadnought was to create a tunnel the Dreadnought couldn't go through. So of course we are gonna give it the ability now to destroy the terrain in order to chase you. So there will be nowhere to hide.
Yeah, and also fix the shield thing where it gets stuck.
Yes.
That's actually already fixed.
Yeah, that was an exploit. People were using the shield of the gunner to trap it. That is also fixed. The Dreadnought should always be an interesting threat, and it's one of the most important enemies we have. So we are fixing it, and hopefully soon will be more interesting even for experienced players.
Yeah, and also say so have similar to Betsy to have a bit more state where maybe it's invulnerable or like something, so you don't all focus it down and then die. So.
Yeah, I think we learned a lot with the design of Betsy, of how to create a more boss-like experience in which the enemy is not always vulnerable, in which sometimes it's your time to flee, and you cannot just use the full firepower of 4 players against them. That's a bit of the challenge of designing enemies for this game, that at some point, if everything is in good conditions for the player, they can output so much damage. The 4 of them shooting at the same time, so we have to find smarter ways for the enemies to defend from that.
We're getting a lot of follow-up questions on the enemies. A lot of people are asking if there are any plans of doing like you did in Glacial Strata, to do like themed enemies of the regular enemies for different biomes.
Yes, we do. The next one, unfortunately, Mike couldn't play with us now, but he's been developing variants of some of the common enemies for radioactive zone. So a similar variation that is not just theme or graphics, but that somehow affects the gameplay to swarmers, grunts, and also even exploders and praetorians. So yeah. So when we said that we want to make every biome more exciting in terms of enemies, I think our approach is to either give it an exclusive enemy that you cannot find anywhere else, or to do something with the current enemy, some kind of variant that makes sense for that planetary region.
Have you considered finding lost dwarf NPCs in caves?
That can walk around.
Like lost. I lost my drop pod. How do I get home? I mean, the closest we did is salvage operation. Maybe salvage operation is a bit underdeveloped in the sense that we wanted to show a failed mission with more remains of the previous dwarves and their what they were doing. Maybe at some point we could improve a little bit in there.
But alive? No.
But alive, no. No, there's not gonna be a dwarf AI.
There's some problems with humans walking around in the caves.
Yeah.
Unless they have like magnetic boots that somehow work in all the caves.
More robots with problems, that could happen.
Yeah.
Because the technology used by the Galactic is not so reliable. Yes.
Might we see veteran loot bugs?
Maybe. But with some special ability, we'll see.
Are you planning to do any variations of the Dreadnought specifically between regions?
Job well done. But on the mule is bring it all home to
The Dreadnought. The thing is that we think it's better to do variations of the Praetorian and to leave the Dreadnought being a bit more unique. But if we find something that is iconic and feels really different in terms of gameplay, we can totally go for it.
I mean, it's also a balance of making a lot of different variations, making some new enemies. So
Yeah, when we feel that the variation doesn't make sense, then we will go for a different enemy. And the problem with the Praetorians is that they're already, Dreadnought, they are in a way like elite versions of the Praetorian. So in that regard, we have already explored poison, ice, fire, all around them. So maybe we will not continue that road.
We're getting a couple of questions here about non-hostile enemies or friendly creatures. Is this something they're related, right? So friendly creatures that could join you and fighting like in Monster Hunter World, or just passive enemies like the maggots. What are your thoughts there?
yeah, we already talked recently actually about adding more passive enemies like the maggot that were maybe themed to the biomes, just to add some more life. So that's definitely something we're doing.
I think that will probably easily happen. We want more flying passive enemies. It just makes sense. It would be very cool to enter a cave and see a bunch of enemy flying away. So that, yes. Convert enemies to fight together with you. We're getting cake. Woo! Live cake in the middle of a wave. There's a cake incoming. It's a big one, Tim. And I got champagne for kids because I don't drink alcohol. It's not even joking. And
in the middle of a wave.
yes.
Perfect.
The boss
There's a
encounter
kick
on the roadmap, is that intended as a final boss of the game, or will it be its own mission type?
That has not been decided yet, I think. I don't think it'll be a final boss.
No. I think
maybe a mission or
whatever we do, what I think is always our goal is that no matter which content we create is meant to be replayable and to be fun over and over. So if we create a boss, I wouldn't see it as a final boss. I would see it as something that maybe doesn't happen so often, but you have to deal with it once in a while. And that is hopefully fun for many playthroughs.
Down it goes.
Okay, the wave is over. Now we can
is on the way.
congratulations.
Yes. Happy
Cheers.
birthday. Thank you.
Kilbo Swaggins asks, any plans to expand the functionality of the terrain scanner? I love how it's used in the egg hunt and would love to see an upgrade or ability to use it to find minerals or objectives on other mission types.
Retrieving the mule.
Yeah, we talked about it once. Sometimes, like, there are many possibilities, so it's just...
It's a difficult tool because one of our goals was to make sure that the game was happening in-game. and not looking at a menu or looking at a map or something like that. We introduced it because we think that it is very good for exploration, and it gives you a better idea of where you are, and you can make interesting decisions having it. But displaying too much information will result on players taking it too often, and we rather let player get good at understanding the caves and predicting shapes and navigating the darkness and finding their own objectives. So we will always use it carefully. But that being said, if we find any use that is cool and that somehow, because for example in egg collection, it was introduced not because it tells you where the egg is, it's because you can check where the egg is and then the gameplay begins, because how do I get to that egg that I just see on the map? So that is nice, that goes with the spirit of the game. More than that would be maybe a problem.
Dwarf Furious is asking a lot of questions. I'll just summarize
He does ask many
them.
questions in general.
He wants to know why, when you're going to announce that the driller is really the main character.
Yeah, like drillers are like the Pokemon plant. It has a smaller fan base, but they are very dedicated and loyal. I think driller is very cool, isn't it? But for some reason, probably it's not so easy to play for new players, because while tools like this are very obvious and immediate to use, driller requires more knowledge of deep rock Galactic. It's not enough with understanding simple physics like with a grappling hook. But yes, which position does he have in the key art? I don't know if it's in the back. Probably front is for the scout. Scout is pretty cool. I'm a scout main.
Yeah, me too.
We should get going, no?
I should switch.
I think we're gonna fail miserably.
Oh yeah.
Are there any
Oh, yeah.
plans to keep adding more things to progress to? At this point I have all weapons unlocked, and I hope there will be more late game incentives added.
Okay, so probably yes in many ways. First of all, there will always be vanity, because I think we think it's a very nice way to show progression and to create goals for players who have played the game for many hours. If we add progression, like more items to unlock, that could totally happen. It will probably happen. But at this point, we like doing it in a more horizontal way that I usually say. Instead of getting better, we will give the player more options to choose from, because that is fun. Empowering more, the players would have many repercussions, and some of them we don't like them, like not being able to play together with new players and all the things we are very happy about the game as it is right now. So, but we could always try to offer more options. We would love to have more weapons. The only problem with weapons, to be honest, is that they are a lot of work for the team. That was a crazy update we did there with the 8 new weapons and all their mods. Is work from artists, from designer, a lot of technical work, and then balancing for months. We are still balancing the mods from the previous update.
Yeah, somehow someone forgot what 16 times 15 is. It's a big number.
Yeah, we were planning, how do we do this? Okay, let's move from upgrades to alternate, variants of mods. Let's do this, and how many per row should we have? 3? Yeah, that sounds doable. And then once that we were developing, oh, that is more than 200 mods that we have to develop for the weapon. So it's a lot of work. Also because we try to give personality to the weapon, not just making a small variation of an existing weapon, but something that plays different, sounds differently, and that is fun enough to, and it makes sense to include in the game. So we would like to add more unlockable, but knowing that it's not easy for the team.
Most likely next time we'll do maybe 4 weapons, so that one gets each at a time. So then we can also make sure we do them correctly.
And we are failing, of course, because we were talking.
We lost. Oh!
Yes, we lost.
What happened to the time?
He was talking, Robert was talking, but I was talking more. So we fell.
Okay, let's just eat cake and pretend that we succeeded.
The name of the stream was "See the Developers Failing." No, I think that's what we're trying to achieve here.
Tribal asks if there are any plans to make the game darker, as in less light, perhaps as a difficulty option or mutator.
We fight about this every week, no, more or less.
Weekly.
Yes, but the short question is yes. Probably we could have either a mutator or a new region of the planet that is darker.
It'll be a region where it's either 1 or 2 dark biomes that you can then play in where there's less light. So basically, there would be no fog; it would just be dark, and your light will be more important.
Yeah, something that some people notice and some people don't is that even if the game feels very dark, it's not completely dark. In case that people are asking why is he asking this question, it's super dark. Yeah, it feels very dark, but it's not completely dark, pitch dark. And that is intentional, because it's very difficult to navigate, especially in the beginning, when you don't know the rules of the game, to navigate a pitch dark cave. But now that the game is out there and has many players, we miss a bit the complete darkness, so we will introduce it in one way or another. I mean, I'm not sure it will happen because one of the people who want to do that is the director, so it will eventually happen.
Gelatin Guy says, wow, I haven't lost in so long time that I've never seen the infirmary.
Yes, this is a bit embarrassing, but and they say something when they get back from the infirmary. I promise we don't usually fail. We especially don't fail when we play as a 2 or 3, but we are first-time streamers. Now I realize. Now I appreciate more those streamers that can get a Fortnite win and talk at the same time.
Can't even cheat.
I'm playing Hazard 4 with this equipment. Okay.
I guess it's because I'm not Driller.
Oh yeah, the main character of the game.
Yeah.
What are some features or functions that you're looking to add in the upcoming space rig changes?
But first of all, we want to make this prettier. In case that you were wondering, our intention is not to have a billion terminals with text written. So we would like to redesign these stations so they already communicate from the ship of it the kind of actions we will be performing there. The closer we got is the Bosco here. It tells you that this is where you update. But besides aesthetics, we talk a lot about the, how do they call it? Somewhere to try your weapons.
The shooting range.
Yeah, shooting range. Yeah, the shooting range. That is something we mention a lot. I'm not promising we will do it, but it will probably be nice to have. Especially, I think we felt the necessity to have it the moment we introduced the mod. And you want to quickly test and compare one mod with the other. So maybe some form of shooting range would be a cool thing to add. But mostly it's gonna be visuals.
Have you considered adding enemies that react to light in some way?
Yeah, all the time. We have a prototype. Our CTO made a Glyphid that can eat light. So yes, we want to do something about it. It's just more difficult than it seems, I think. Like, many people mention it right away, no? When they see the game, it's all about darkness and light, so enemies should react. But we should be able to communicate that, no? And it's a first-person game in which the limits of what has light and what doesn't have light are not so clear, because the light just bounces and expands naturally. It's not like making a top-down game and you know, okay, if it's inside this cone is affected by light, if it's not, then it's not. So it's a bit risky, that gameplay of an enemy fearing or chasing light. But we want to do something because this game is about darkness and about breaking the terrain, so those are the two pillars and they should apply to enemies.
We're getting some questions about new biomes. Have you considered adding a tropical biome?
In a tropical At some point one of the biomes was called tropical, but then we said, tropic of what? How can it? What do you mean tropical? Is inside? Cannot be tropical. By tropical, I guess we have dense biome, no? That would be the closest thing, no? With a lot of vegetation. We don't want to have rich vegetation all over the place because the cavey feeling is also important. Also, those biomes wouldn't feel that interesting if all biomes were completely full of plants. But yeah, we will think about it. We can see what a tropical biome could be.
I guess we will try to link it to some new gameplay.
Yeah.
To make it feel different, like the ice caves.
That was so fun to
I think-
develop.
yeah.
It was the first time that was built at the same time graphically and thinking about gameplay. We wanted to make a biome in which temperature would matter, and I think then it was easier to develop because the ideas were just coming naturally.
Could we get a panel for minerals owned by the player while you look at the mission terminal, so we don't have to go back and forth between the terminals when picking a mission?
We could get that. I thought we had it. No. I think
Apparently
we probably
not.
we removed it. We had it at some point. We removed it. Yes, we could get that. It's the same bar that displays on top, so we should bring it back. Also, someone suggested that when you are buying upgrades and you see the bar on top, there should be a tooltip if you hover over a mineral, letting you know which in which biome you can find that mineral. We should always also add that. Yeah, and usability wasn't our strength, but we should get better at that. Especially now that we have players who played for so many hours. Those things shouldn't be painful. There is a spawner here. Well, the spawner will probably be redesigned a bit, at least visually, soon. It's the oldest model in the game alive, I believe.
It's almost as old as the company. Not maybe by a few weeks.
We got the eyes at some point. We did have the eyes,
Yeah.
but we are not happy with it. So it will also go through a redesign.
We have a question about the perk. Will there be a perk rework?
Oof. Yeah, that's Jonas, you take that one.
Yeah, I mean, when we designed the perks, the idea was actually sort of to make them not have a big impact, just be a small thing that you sort of put some points into and then you got slightly better. So that's why they are as they are, but it turns out it doesn't work that well.
And then we tried to improve some of them.
Yeah, we have improved some of them, but it was worse. The problem is often that it can be hard not to step on the toes, for example, of weapons. Like, we don't want perks to do stuff that weapons could do, or that armor upgrades do, or other parts of the game.
Yeah, the moment we introduced mods, it became even more difficult to use perks for effects that are relevant.
But you had, like, an example, the sprint speed perk. Like, that one we want to change, so...
Yeah, it's a boost. We want to turn it into a boost, so whenever you sprint, you get an initial boost, if you have it. So as you upgrade the perk, that initial boost gets better. Because we realize, that's the feedback that we got from the community, that increasing a 2% the speed is not so fun. They prefer, you all prefer, and we also do, prefer having more noticeable changes. So we will try to make them as spectacular as possible, or as noticeable. More something that is more like an on and off. Either you have it or you don't. So for example, speed, we want to make it more interesting, and that would be the way.
And we do actually have a plan for a lot of the perks.
Yeah,
to change them, but
it's
there's
just
a lot of
busy.
stuff to do.
We want to make enemies too, and many other things. And we are working on mods. We are not done. That's the problem. As Jonas said, we didn't do the math correctly. We need to make 1 billion mods, so we're still missing the mods for the 4th tool, and those are coming along nicely. We're looking forward to do those because there are some experiments that we wanted to try. Like for example, there will be mods for the sentry guns, and it's almost sure we will see if we decide if we like it or not. But we are planning to change the engineer. So in the beginning, it has 1 sentry gun. And as you progress through mods and upgrades, you can choose to either empower the sentry gun and give it more abilities, or go for 2 sentry guns. So yeah, there's still plenty of systems to develop. That's why we are not working on perks currently, but we will try to make them better.
Will we see new grenade alternatives for the classes like stun or ice or fire, etc.?
We have a spreadsheet with many ideas already, so
Basically, yes. I mean, the plan is not to do much for grenades, but to do a bunch of alternate grenades instead.
yeah,
Maybe they'll have another more capacity, we don't know.
yeah.
But and then they will be unique, so no class will have the same grenade.
But we totally want to do the new grenades because we developed so many new systems like the temperature, the fear, the armor destruction. All those are perfect for grenade variant, and we have many ideas for them.
What's your opinion on Q mining?
That is a very nasty thing to do.
I mean, you could.
If I see my kid Q mining, I will be ashamed.
I mean, I think that it will be fixed.
Yes, it's gonna be fixed one way or another. It's a bit unfair. It's mostly scary because it can be also used for combat, so I'm not super happy about it. We are also considering ways, and again, we are not promising anything, but we are also considering ways of adding some kind of skill to the mining process that could substitute Q mining. So making a feature instead of exploit.
Good news, team. The wave is thinning out.
Also, yeah, we're looking at mods for the pickaxe, so it could be that you could get faster mining, but then you'd have to sacrifice, for example, damage or something else.
So with the rework of the pickaxe, maybe we'll see the goodbye of Q mining.
That is very likely.
Someone is asking what Q mining is.
Don't tell them.
Don't
Don't
tell them. The Q word.
Someone is asking if you can force Bosco to mine something, or like, does he always have to be so smart? Sometimes you just want him to mine a little area, not like light it up.
He's very dedicated. Yes, yeah, that's the difficulty. I mean, we wanted to keep the controls for Bosco as simple as possible, and then we are using our contextual system that we use also for the laser and pointer, no? So we thought whenever you're pointing to something that is not usable, then you should use the light. If we want Bosco to mine whatever you tell Bosco to mine, like just simple rock, then we will have to develop more complicated systems. And we could explore that, but it has to be worth it. It has to be a feature that really makes the solo player enjoy more the game. If not, we will try to keep it simple as it is.
Can you find the exit?
No, I don't even have light. We will probably fail this one too, but 3 out of 3.
What are your thoughts about a fifth class?
Our thoughts are... Well, no, my thoughts are...
Or your plan?
Okay, I don't know what are our plans. They are not decided. I'm just gonna say something about them. Is that as we said before, classes are very linked to the way they traverse the map. And with the current classes, we have used like the very basic way of traversing. Either you destroy the terrain, or you cross it horizontally, or you set platforms to overcome verticality. So they are very pure in a way. So creating a new class is not just thinking about the weapons. We think we need a unique way of traversing caves for that class to be interesting. We think as of today, and that is what makes it quite challenging to design. We are also not sure yet if it's desirable or not, but it's completely not out of the table. We talk about the fifth class very often.
Yes, and another problem is, for example, the scout. He is responsible for setting up light. So if we have 5 classes and there's no scout, then the game has to work with no light, which it sort of has to when you're playing 2. But
yeah, I mean, we have designed a lot around the idea of these 4 classes working together, but again, it could happen. We could find a way. We have some ideas for it. It's just trying to share the challenges of a 5th class in this game and why it's not as easy as in some pure action games.
Have you considered letting players choose what seed they are playing on, so you can compete for time for speed running, for instance?
Well, I actually had one idea the other day that the seed on the map could be based on the current time. So if you start the game approximately at the same time, you would get the same seed. So that would be a way, a little manual, but you could get the same mission.
Yeah, we have talked quite a bit about displaying the results of your Steam friends or your Xbox friends and so on. Could be interesting in a way. And then also we mentioned this is also just an idea, or incorporating that logic into some of our new features, like the moment we introduce daily adventures. Maybe that's when a way of comparing your results with other people would make sense. But yeah, we have thought about that, because it's fun competing against another team trying to perform better.
Could you expand on this daily adventure? I know it's a feature that's been on the roadmap for a long time and always pushed. So what's the current thoughts there?
Yeah, the thoughts is it's complicated, no? That's why we push it, we delay it. We want to make it cool. We want to make it feel different, and that is not easy. But we have some general ideas. Like, for example, we want it to be longer than a normal mission. It's a session that takes longer, more commitment, and a group of focused players. That's something we know. Do we know anything else?
I mean, I think the basic idea was to have like 3 missions, for example, in a row where you carry your resources. But we want it to be more than just 3 missions, so we are trying to find some ways to make it more unique.
Yeah.
Twist how the missions, like the normal missions work, so it's not exactly the same. And also how, like, make how you perform in first missions matter in the later one.
Yeah. One of the design goals that we were mentioning at some point is how could we make it feel like a short roguelike, no? That lasts for one day for everyone, and they can play. That's the idea behind it, but we're still working on it. We have prototypes and so on, and at some point we will get something cool.
We've gotten some question about player scaling, depending, like how the game scales depending on number of players.
Yes.
People are asking, will we ever be able to bring Bosco on a 2-player mission, and will you ever consider doing something special with flares or light when you're just 1 player?
So player scaling, that is one of the challenges of this game. This game has 5 hazard difficulties multiplied by 4, a lot of different difficulty settings, because we do quite a few things to scale difficulty, and the challenge there is to maintain the essence of the game even if we are scaling. Like, you could scale by spawning too few enemies, but then it doesn't look like the Rock Galactic. You could reduce the damage that the enemies take, but if enemies are too weak or too strong, it also affects the feeling of the weapons and the balance of the mods. So that is our eternal struggle, and we are doing our best to improve on that. About getting Bosco in missions, I guess the closest thing we've done is Betsy now that you can find and fight with you.
Exodus up here by the wing.
How did the idea of Betsy come about, and do you have any other plans for more news?
The idea of Betsy, so it's many things at the same time. We wanted, someone mentioned that we should have some enemy that was an organic, like a robot. And then at some point we thought, okay, a robot that was used by the Rock Galactic at some point. But I was also very eager to get an enemy that you could convert, and so it could fight together with you. And then, I don't know, at some point we decided to mix those two concepts and think about an enemy that is malfunctioning, a robot that is malfunctioning, and it should be helpful, but a parasite doesn't doesn't let it behave correctly, you know, and then you bring it back to your team. And yeah, we have planned for more things like that. It was a lot of fun. Realized that the enemy was well received not only because of the gameplay, because it was fun, it was like a mini boss, but also the theme behind it. People enjoy a lot to discover that the old model of Mule is used, and it was used by the Galactic, and now it's a dangerous threat inside the caves.
We're getting reminded by the chat that it's 5 o'clock and we're expecting.
Yeah, we're gonna close now. I know you don't want to hear more design stuff. You want to know who won the Shout Like a Dwarf competition. So we're about to say goodbye because we're not. I mean, we could wait until we fail this mission, but we could just pretend that we were gonna succeed and quit. Yeah, we're gonna stone. But thanks a lot for listening. It's been very cool sharing hear your thoughts and your questions about the design of the game. I hope you're excited with the new features that are coming. We're enjoying a lot now going back to the caves after so many systems that have been developed. Going back to the caves, making more enemies, making more hazards and cool gameplay is very exciting for us. So hopefully you will enjoy it as much as we do. And thank you for joining in.
Yeah, thank you.
This
and
is
there
very
goes
cool.
I.
And we will quit, and now you go to the interesting stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Perfect ending.
Perfect ending. I think
Thank you, Lee. Always there to save the day.
this is beautiful. See ya.
See ya.
Thank you.